I made a couple of mistakes in that video that I just made about Diddy. I think I misheard it wrong. I just want to first of all just say
Applying pressure to his wounds. Realizing G was bleeding from multiple spots, Jones lifted him and sat him on the toilet, yelling for someone to call an ambulance. As the paramedics arrived, Jones helped G to the front, but by then, Diddy and Justin had disappeared into another part of the studio. According to Jones, Diddy then gave strict orders for everyone to tell the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He even
maybe he told people that he had nothing to do with the shooting because he didn't have anything to do with the shooting. I don't know if that's the truth. I don't know if it is not. But just because someone says that you should say I should have nothing to do with it, that could just be because he's the famous one. You know, he's the one that people are going to most want to blame because he's famous, and that'll get a huge amount of media attention. So maybe he was just being paranoid and just told people that. But I don't know. I'm not saying that he is responsible. I'm not saying he is. But what I know to say
forced Jones to lie, instructing him to say that G had been shot in a drive-by outside the studio, completely covering up what really went down. Jones claims he still has the clothes he wore that day, which he believes may still have G's bloodstains and DNA, further proof of what really happened that night.
Having blood-stained clothes of someone being shot is not further proof of who made the shooting. So to say something like they lied about a drive-through, maybe that was a lie-through, maybe the shooting was done accident, maybe he picked it up as a kind of threat and a bullet ended up coming out, maybe he thought it was on the catch was on or something. I don't know what the circumstance is, but yes, him having blood-stained clothes is not proof that Diddy is trying to cover up his crimes. It is just proof that he was there when someone got shot and he was trying to help, was close enough to get blood on his things. That's all it proves. And when you watch videos where they take things that don't prove things, but then they say that because this happened, it proves that it did happen, that Diddy was responsible or something. I was like, no, that's not proof. You know, this is what makes me think that I don't trust these videos, because I don't trust things being said in them.
But Diddy isn't the only big name caught up in this lawsuit. Another heavy hitter mentioned is Cuba Gooding Jr. For those who don't know, Cuba Gooding Jr. is a major figure in Hollywood. He blew up in 1990.
They try and just promote all his fame and how amazing he was through fame.
Didn't just make him famous. It solidified him as a powerhouse talent in the industry. He went on to win an Oscar for his role in Jerry Maguire and has been a familiar face in film and TV ever since. According to the lawsuit, Jones claimed that in January 2023, while on Diddy's yacht in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Gooding allegedly groped him. The suit details how Gooding touched, groped, and fondled Jones's legs, upper inner thighs, lower back near his buttocks, and his shoulders. The lawsuit even provided screenshots of footage showing Gooding forcibly touching Jones aboard Diddy's yacht, further backing up these allegations.
Okay, that picture just showed a hug, and it showed like it was consensual. It didn't show evidence that they were not, that he wasn't uncomfortable. He looks both the people look quite comfortable in that situation, and he obviously allowed the picture to be taken, and obviously the person who took the picture was not aware that someone was not consenting to something. So that's another example of evidence that's being used to prove something when really it doesn't prove anything. All it proves is that people are taking stuff that isn't evidence and trying to show it as being evidence. And also, this lawsuit is in Diddy's a case against Diddy because it was on Diddy's yacht. But why does that mean that it's got anything to do with Diddy? Just because it was on his yacht, that doesn't mean that Diddy was aware of grooming or groping from someone else. It doesn't mean that it even happened, because the person who taking the picture obviously wasn't aware that this was all unconsensual. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying it did happen. But I'm saying that you shouldn't be suing someone for something that they didn't do just because it was on their yacht. You know, I know there's all sorts of suing going on in America, which is just insane, and it shouldn't happen. But, you know, realistically, you need to think, how responsible is a person for other people? You know, if someone's in my house and I'm upstairs and they hit, like, I had a client round to my house to do a session, and then afterwards we watched some TV, and then he started hitting on my sister. My sister was here. You know, I'm not responsible for that person's actions on my sister. my sister didn't seem to disagree. I didn't want it to happen because I was like, yeah, this is probably not going to go in the right direction. I did actually ask him to leave after 20 minutes because I was like, this just shows how gullible my sister is for allowing this to happen and not just being like pushing him away. You know, she didn't know him and he's probably married. He was married, so it's just like I'm not responsible though for this happening. Even though I know that it's happening, my sister seemed like it was okay, and you know, if he was aware that there was no indication in this lawsuit that Diddy was aware of this and therefore shouldn't be taken responsible. So why is this even in this lawsuit? I mean, this to me is evidence that someone is just taking up rubbish and things that aren't taking things that have nothing to do with the person who the lawsuit is against and trying to place the blame on them. Why? Because Diddy's probably a lot richer than this other guy, so he's just trying to make lots of money and bring up cases like this. And then if people aren't aware of this, if people are going to listen to this and just be like, oh my god, Diddy, he's so awful, I just think you're so stupid for not listening to what's actually being said.
Cuba Gooding Jr. has denied these accusations, expressing surprise at being dragged into the lawsuit, calling it ridiculous. Gooding also downplayed his relationship with Diddy, explaining that they only had an acquaintance-level connection and implying that it was blown out of proportion in the lawsuit.
Were you guys close? Were you guys friends or?
They were acquaintances, just like I just showed you. Yeah. 2-3 times I've seen him, so it's...
Oh, so Diddy...
So yeah, you met this guy, Diddy, 2-3 times. Maybe that's a lie, maybe that's an exaggeration, maybe they've met 5, 6, 7. It doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that Diddy is responsible for his actions on just because he's on his boat. And then I'm just going to skip a part because I talked about this. I'm going to leave out the Cassie thing because I don't really know the Cassie situation. You know, if you're in a relationship with someone for 10 years, you know, it can be difficult. So I'll leave out that
accusations. His team came out strong, calling the claims riddled with baseless and outrageous lies. However, that narrative shifted after leaked footage emerged, allegedly showing Diddy attacking Cassie in a Los Angeles hotel hallway back in 2016. Then Diddy switched gears.
I don't know about that case because that footage does make me wonder, why has it been hidden for 6 years? And a part of me thinks that it's, you know, he owns a TV company. A part of me thinks that maybe he's just set this up. I'm hoping that there's some reason for this. You know, I'm linking the singers and celebrities to things that I'm going through, and I know that I kind of want to go through a similar thing. Only I'll play the role of this kind of Diddy character in a way where, you know, I'm Babylon the Great. Bible predicts me and Christ, and you know, I want some sort of arrest to happen, and then for a bunch of people to just try and say that I'm responsible for all the world's sins, and then try to blame me for things that I have absolutely nothing to do with, in the similar way to how Diddy has been blamed for one guy on his yacht touching the legs of another guy, and somehow Diddy's getting the blame for that. Why Diddy should get the blame for that, I don't understand. If Diddy hires out a lawyer to solve, to make sure that no underage girls are in there and no drinks are being spiked, you know, if he hires someone to do this job, you can't just say, well, this person was in there, but she wasn't doing her job, and I'm going to blame Diddy for this. I mean, if Diddy's hired this person to do this job, then it's technically not Diddy's responsibility to make sure that she's doing her job. His role was to pay this woman to do a job, and therefore the lawsuit should be against the person who's not doing the crime. And likewise, I am God, and okay, I'm not really controlling anyone, but if people are paid to do jobs and they're not doing their jobs, you can't just blame God or blame the devil for things that they are paid to do but refuse to do. You know, if the crime and law order is supposed to be working to commit criminals, and instead they're taking people like my sister to court because her husband says that she's been egging me on and doing things that she hasn't done when really she hasn't. You know, if they want to take stupid crimes to court, that's got nothing to do with God. That's got nothing to do with Christ as to why they've done that. So I just feel like whatever's happening to him might be spiritually linked to what I'm going through, and I'm wondering if his team of bullshitters are knowing this and are deliberately setting something up in order. I'm thinking about myself here, and I really want to to know when my arrest is happening. And his lawyer saying, like, when he got arrested, you know, he's been looking forward to this day for a long time. I mean, that's a strange thing to say about someone who's about to be arrested, but it makes sense for me, because I'm waiting for. The world has been ignoring me. I'm Christ, I'm God. I can't get anyone to believe me. I can't get anyone to take an interest. So I'm waiting. But I know that there are people that are at the top and have lots of money and are setting something up, and they've been setting something up for a long time. And I can't get anyone to believe anything that I say, because they only listen to people that have money. People that have money can control others because they have money, and they can say, I'll give you this much money if you do this and that. If someone is saying I'm Christ but has no money, then I basically have no power to get people to do things, anything, because people only do things if they're paid. And if I don't have the money to pay them, then I basically don't have the money to have them do anything. You know, anyone that claims to know, worship, love Christ, they don't. They're doing it. They've been sold into this sort of brainwashing of how to get into heaven, and how to. They think God offers them something, and they support God only because of what God can offer them. And the priests, you know, they preach this because they make money out of it. So it's all a money making scheme, basically. And yeah, I'm waiting for the time that people arrest me, and then there's going to probably be a lot of people saying that I've inspired this and I've inspired that. Some of it might be good, but a lot of it might be bad, in the same way that Diddy might be. People might be blaming him for things that he's not responsible for. I think there might be a lot of people wanting to blame me for things that I'm not responsible for, or just making me out to be a terrible person. I'm pretty sure that I've done massage for a long time, and I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty of clients that would be willing to lie about a session they've had. I've probably never even met them, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do come forward and say that I've had sex with them, or had, you know, done blowjobs with them, or whatever. I'm sure there'll be a ton of people that I've never met be willing to say all sorts of lies like this, and I wouldn't want to fight against it. Why? Because I know what my truth is, and yeah. Diddy also knows what his truth is, and I'm not saying that his past was great. I'm sure he might be responsible for a lot of it. You know, if he offers people drugs, that is a crime, but it's one of these crimes where you can't really. It's for the police to stop it, and if they don't catch it at the time that he's offering them, then they can't prove that it happened. Hence, they can't. It's not a. If you do something like that and nothing happens for a year or two, you know, you can't just commit them. You can't put them in prison for a crime for offering drugs to people a couple of years ago, because that's not how it works. You need to actually catch them with the drugs on them at the time, because if it was a long time ago, then the drugs have gone, and you can only be committed. You can only be accused of You can only be arrested for a crime relating to drugs if the drugs are actually on you at the time. And okay, he did have drugs in his hotel, but that's only proof of personal use. That's not proof of him offering it to others, people who didn't want it. Anyway.
And came out with this apology video.
I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
But by this point,
I think he might have just said that because he wanted people to think that story was the truth. When I'm not certain that it was, because I think they're setting something up, and the fact that that's the only video that they really have of him, you know, I feel like they're definitely people are keeping things back and hiding things.
a lot of people felt that apology wasn't about owning up to the harm he caused. It was more about trying to save face and protect his image. But once Cassie dropped her case, it didn't end there. It cracked the door wide open for others to step up. First up was Joy Dickerson Neal, who hit Diddy, with a lawsuit claiming he drugged and raped her back in 1991, when she was a college student at Syracuse University.
1991? That's like 20 that's a long time ago. I don't know how many years ago. A long time ago. Over 13 years ago. Why would you take 13 years to report a rape? That doesn't seem plausible or justified. You know, you have to report it straight away, not 19 years later.
According to her, after meeting Diddy through mutual friends and appearing in one of
1991. That's 20 years. That's 23 years later. Why would you take 23 years to report a rape? That doesn't make sense.
his music videos, she reluctantly agreed to go on a date with him. That's when things went sideways. She says she left her drink with him, and soon after she was so messed up she could barely stand. A few days later, she found out from a male friend that a sex tape of the incident had been passed around, adding insult to injury. Diddy's team didn't waste time denying it, though, calling the lawsuit nothing but a last-minute fabrication. And if that wasn't enough, on the same day, another woman, going by Jane Doe, filed a separate lawsuit accusing Diddy and Aaron Hall of raping her and a friend more than 30 years ago. Jane Doe claimed that after...
Yeah, the report was made 30 years ago. I mean, no, I don't think the report was it. I'm sure this claim has only come to light now, and it was a claim of something that happened 30 years ago, but why would it take that person 30 years to report it? This is crazy.
After a night of drinks at an event hosted by Uptown Records,
If something like this happens to you, you'd report it straight away. You wouldn't wait for 30 years.
Diddy and Hall took turns sexually assaulting her and her friend. She even said Diddy got violent afterward, choking her until she passed out. As with the other cases, Diddy's team clapped back, calling it nothing but fabricated lies and part of a money grab. But the wild allegations don't stop there. Diddy's name has even been dragged into one of hip-hop's most infamous cases, the murder of Tupac Shakur. In 2023, Dwayne Keffi D. Davis...
I've heard a lot of people blame the murder of Tupac on so many different people. I can't tell you the list because I can't remember, but I swear there's so many videos online where it's just like, this person did it, no, this person did it, no, this person did it, and I feel like people are just using it, actually. They're using his name as a way of just trying to tarnish someone else's career and reputation, and I don't know the truth, and I'm not saying who's responsible and who's not responsible, because I don't know. But yeah, I just don't trust any story about who killed him, because I've heard a long list of names. I'm gonna stop it there.